Welcome back, and I say this with graciousness. Welcome back to Flashback Reviews, a Matic Expression production, part of the Mirrorstar production. I'm J77, and today's movie fits the holiday that is President's Day quite nicely. A film that I recommend for educational purpose, and as well as how drama is done correctly without the flashiness or even more so the action packed violence that most people try to get used to in terms of drama today. And that is Lincoln. I say that for a lot of reasons, and I'm going to get to every point here. I'd love to hear your opinion on the comic sessions, but let's get right straight down to it. The Lincoln movie has been well acted. I actually think this film is well played. It focused squarely on Lincoln's, and I want to make this right here in big explanation points here. Lincoln's trying to pass the 13th Amendment. I'm gonna say it right off the bat. This film is the most leading title I've ever seen because it's not really focusing on Lincoln's life, more so than what he is doing, how he's approaching trying to get this historical amendment passed through a very hostile, not so agreeable House of Representatives. It really shows the stuff that these men who worked so hard to get the amendment through had to go through, both in their own parties as well as those who didn't wish to see slavery abolished. It also focused very briefly on the war and the stuff that and the toll has taken on the people, and how much reason why they wanted to get it passed as well. Because let's be honest, that many people want to get it passed, but just to end the war. It also shows something about the rush to judgment to get this thing passed, and why it was a rush to get it passed. Because again, he was fearful if the war ended before the amendment is passed, it may never be passed at all, because there's no need for the 13th Amendment abolishing slavery to be passed. So a lot of stuff is happening in this movie, and Daniel Day-Lewis, who plays a magnificent performance, and just for the record, Daniel Day-Lewis, in terms of an actor, is a brilliant actor, one of the best actors, the top 5 best actors we have in the business today. He won 3 Academy Awards for Best Actor. One, of course, being for Lincoln. Another one, which I consider to be his hallmark film, one of his best films, period. That is My Left Foot. You guys got to check that out. It's a great film. And what he does here is, and I agree with everybody who have seen this film, he not only have picked up the trade of Lincoln, he became Lincoln. He wasn't Daniel Day-Lewis anymore. He was Lincoln. There was no trace of Daniel Day-Lewis in this movie. And consider the fact that he almost turned this down numerous of times. The fact that he actually came and did this film and came prepared for this film really shows in the hard work that he has done. But let's not get it twisted. There are lots of great performances. Tommy Jones' performance as Thaddeus Stevens got me to want to look this man up. I was actually looking him up to know more about this historical politician, this historical figure that also played an important part in the getting to pass the 13th Amendment, what he believes in, the disagreement he had with Lincoln, and he really, when he was on the screen, he stole the show for the most part, especially the scene where he was being questioned by the opposition about all men is supposed to be created equal. And then the scene really does play well. The dialogue, the environment, all matches well with what's going on in the screen, and the pacing also matched well for what was going on visually, and how they kept me interested, as well as the film moving along. And that's very, very important, because here's the thing you will know off the bat, especially for those who didn't see this movie. This movie is not an action-based movie. This is straight drama. This film is almost entirely a dialogue. You get a Civil War scene where they're battling in an unknown, they didn't name where it was, but you see it, it's brutal. But throughout most of this film, you're focusing on the 13th Amendment. You're focusing on what Lincoln is trying to do as well as the stuff he has to do to get it passed. Some of the underhanded deals, the shady deals he has to do to get it passed. It really shows the willing and dealing of not only a president but a real politician to get things moving. Some of the deals he has to make in order to persuade some of the conservatives, as well as the radicals. It was well achieved and well received in terms of how this was done. And all credit in terms of this happening had to be done by Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg, I like to consider him as a two different faces of Steven Spielberg. There's the one that we always loved, the action-packed blockbuster Steven Spielberg, the one who did was E.T., Indiana Jones, that kind of Steven Spielberg kind of guy. We also have the bio guy of Steven Spielberg, the one who can actually pick a biopic and make it so interesting that you want to go back and relook history and actually do a comparison towards the film. And this was exactly what this was. A lot of people seem to be down on Steven Spielberg, but keep in mind this man's been around for more than 4 decades. He has really showed, he's really evolved as a director, and to me, this is just one of many proofs. Keep in mind, he did have a little bit of misses. There's no question about it. But when he hits the mark, he hits the mark, and this film definitely hits the mark. Again, this is a well-written film, and I say misleading because I'm going to get to it right now. This film doesn't focus on Lincoln, not as well as you think it should. They don't go back to his life and how he was growing up in the farm. They don't talk about his father or mother. It doesn't talk about how he was forced into politics after being gone for a while. It doesn't focus on any of that. This film has one goal, one objective, to focus on his second term, and to focus pretty much what he was doing in the second term, which is getting the 13th Amendment passed. You could have named this the 13th Amendment, and it would still match well with what he was doing, what this film was saying. In fact, I was scratching my head as to why they even called Lincoln at all. But again, we had Lincoln Vampire Hunter before this film, so I guess that was one of the reasons that they kept it going with that. Nevertheless, a mission accomplished. This film really did a wonderful job. The music matches well, even though the music was less significant in this movie than anything else. Sally Field playing Mary Todd was very, very good. I thought she was good. A little over the top in some scenes, but very good in other scenes that I actually enjoy and like. And then you also have Daniel Day-Lewis himself being Lincoln. And what I like about this film is that they show Lincoln. They turn off some of the myth of Lincoln. A lot of myth about it. He was always calm. He was always collective. Yeah, he was calm and collective. But there are times he can lose his cool, especially with his son Robert, played by name I cannot forget. I should never have forget this guy's name. He was in Batman, for crying out loud. But it was played by him. I'll get to his name later. Trust me, it's gonna come back to me. And that's the only thing I think. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Thank you. Why that name seemed to escape my lips, I don't know. I think a lot of people was a little bit mad at his performance because he seemed to be out of place. I agree to an extent, but then again, he had such a little role that it didn't really bother me as much as it is. Same thing with Jackie Earle Haley. Jackie Earle Haley's scenes were very, very limited. But he was there, and when he was there, he captured the vice president very, very well, especially that scene close to the end where him and Lincoln are standing face to face, talking about the agreements of surrender, which was very, very intense. I actually, again, that was one of the scenes I actually wanted to see more because, again, historical facts don't always match well with the historical biopic that is shown. But if that is the case, man, oh man, oh man, was that an intense scene, especially when you know that's the surrender they didn't want to do. It also raised a question. This film really does raise a lot of questions, and that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing because, again, this is a historical film. This is a historical biopic. It's talking about Lincoln, but it also talking about some stuff that happened leading to that 13th Amendment. And the one thing something that has never been said in history, and I actually, before doing this flashback review over the last year, not 2 months, not 2 days, year, I was actually studying Lincoln, learning more about Lincoln, learning more about the historical stuff about Lincoln, his depression, everything else. And Nothing about this historical event that has happened never was mentioned in any of the Discovery Channel, History Channel, or History, you want to call it, even the even the Smithsonian's, who had also an interesting piece on Lincoln, on his life and his death. They didn't mention anything about that secret deal. One of the major stories, and I'm pretty sure that's probably more myth than fact, but then again, I haven't seen anything that was proven to be either or, and I'm still looking for it. And one of the things that was very interesting, have Lincoln, and there's a spoiler for those who don't know, have Lincoln invited the peacekeepers, those guys who they want, uh, those delegates, would that have changed history? Would that have prevented the some of the guys, the lamed up Democrats, the bipartisan group of the House of Representatives, from voting yes? Because that was a big thing. One of the biggest thing that led to one of the strongest scenes in the film, where Lincoln's telling them that abolishing slavery is the settles it for all coming times. Because they wanted peace. The war was taking a lot of people, and it did. It wasn't one of the brutest war we had ever. So the question was, half those delegates came, half those people who came from the South to negotiate peace, if they would have gotten what they want, was slavery been done? Would that mean the end of the United States? Would that have been a broken union? Would they even be in the United States because of that? Those are things that we should take into consideration. That film really brought it to my attention because, again, this was not studied in history class. History is broken up into pieces, and sometimes you gotta look really deep into it. I understand they said the book brings up the more of the subject because this is based on a book. But again, I haven't found that book yet. It's one of the most hardest to find books, surprisingly, to get. But it is something that is that really brung to mind. And I'm gonna go off the record. Every time a film like this gets you so interested that you want to look up history. Again, that's a great thing. That's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to get you interested. It's supposed to get you thinking. It's supposed to get you doing your own research about not only the man, the legend, the icon, but also what he have accomplished that made him an icon and still makes him into one of the important figures in the United States of America today. There's lots of praise I can tell you about this film. This is pretty much a perfect four-star film for me. The dialogue is good, the action is whatever a little bit was okay, but most importantly, what really is the strength of this film is the pacing, the visual cinematography, and the dialogue. Those are the three things that really shine. And again, Steven Spielberg, who was the director of this film, you got to give credit where credit is due. When he makes a great biopic, he makes a great biopic. Again, I think a lot of people still want that, that blockbuster, action-packed adventure Steven Spielberg, that I think they don't appreciate the other projects he have done over the years, and this is definitely one of those. Again, this is a four-star film. I'd like to know what your opinion on this movie. Have you seen this movie? Do you agree or disagree? Let me know in the comment section below. I would love to hear your opinion on it. And until next time, and yes, there will be a next time, J77 saying take care, be safe. I'll talk to you soon. Later.